came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands.
Good day everybody, and welcome back to another video with myself, Cameron, and Gideon over here on behalf of Bothners. And in our last video we touched on basic PA setup as well as looking at the functions on a mixing desk. We connected the entire system up, and today we're going to be getting into the mixer and talking a little bit about basic techniques behind mixing and actually controlling your sound.
Thank you so much for joining us again. Cameron, want to start mixing?
Absolutely, let's get into it, guys. Alright guys, so before we get mixing, there's a few things that we have to consider. And one of those is the mixing position. So essentially you, the sound engineer who's doing the mix, you've got to place yourself where the listeners are. To be on stage while mixing can be done, but it is very difficult because you're not hearing what the audience is hearing. So you want to kind of be in the middle, central in a crowd of people. That's where you want to be. Also, another thing to consider is your acoustics in your venue. If your room is not treated, don't worry, don't go spend thousands of rand on treatment. But you have to consider that the acoustics in the room have to be good for the sound to be excellent.
Something else that you should definitely keep in mind is testing your equipment and specifically cables. They take a lot of wear and tear during use, and making sure that the cable that you're using is actually working will save you some time, especially during a performance when all of a sudden something doesn't work and then you don't know where to look. Once your microphones, your instruments, everything is plugged in and you know that I'm going to be using this channel for a microphone, this channel is going to be a guitar for instance, and you know that you're not going to change that, you'll do yourself a favor by labeling the channel. Don't write on the mixer. Take a little piece of masking tape, put it all over your channel strips and just mark it so you know which is which. Over time, if you don't change that around too much, you're going to know exactly where everything is on your desk, and that is what you want. Something else that's going to save you a lot of time is making notes of your settings. Now, you're not going to be able to remember everything, especially if things changes, you know. But taking a picture of your desk is a very good idea, because the last thing you want to do is start over.
Alright, when working with sound, you've got to eliminate feedback from the entire process. Otherwise, you're going to get some very, very ugly noises, and it's not going to be advertising for your crowd or for the audience. And one of those things is just making sure that your speakers are placed in front of your microphones. If they are behind your mics, considering mics have cardioid pickup patterns, they reject sound from the back but pick up all the way from the front. What happens is, if the speakers are behind the mic, it plays directly into the mic, causing a loop, creating a very ugly sound, which is known as feedback.
That's basically just the sound coming out of the speaker going into the microphone, going out of the speaker going into the microphone. You see where we're going with this?
When mixing audio, there are a few parameters to consider on a mixing desk. Firstly, the low cut button can be used to take out unwanted hum that usually can be heard below 100 Hz. It's a good idea to turn this on when you're not wanting to record anything with too much low end. The equalization, panning, as well as the volume are the main parameters that we are going to have a look at. Looking at the EQ first, this will allow you to manipulate the sound of every instrument or vocal so that it can sit comfortably in your mix. Today we will be working with a 3-band EQ with bands for the treble, the mids, as well as the bass. When mixing, we must understand that sound is subjective, so these basic guidelines can assist you in getting a better mix, but the rest is up to your ears, so trust them. When mixing the EQ for vocals, we have to consider if it's a low boomy voice or a thin mid to high range voice we are working with, as we will need to adjust the EQ accordingly. For a typical female vocal, you wouldn't want to do too much with the treble unless your speakers sound muffled or unclear. But just remember, the more treble you add, the more noise you will get coming through your mix. For the mid-range, you will want to select a frequency between 2 kHz and 6 kHz and accentuate it, as these are the frequencies our ears are the most sensitive to. You would generally use the same EQ settings for a male vocal, but the bass is where it differs. With a high-end vocal, we might want to bring up the bass a bit to add a bit of body to the signal, otherwise it might sound thin. With a lower-end vocal, commonly a male vocal, you might want to take out a bit of low end to clean the signal up and to make it a little bit more audible. When using the EQ with an acoustic guitar, we are going to make sure that it doesn't mask the vocals, so don't worry too much about the mids, as that's where the main frequencies of the vocal sits. Rather take out some of the boomy low end and give the guitar a bit of treble, so that you can hear the strings as well as the harmonics that come from the body of the instrument. Each preamp picks up audio differently, so adjust the sound according to the output the guitar gives you. Make sure the low cut switch is off when working with a bass guitar signal, as this cuts out many of the frequencies you want. Accentuate the low end between about 50 Hz and 100 Hz to add some thickness and body to your bass sound. Remember, the bass guitar as well as the kick drum on your drum kit form the biggest part of the low end in your mix. Moving over to the keyboard, make sure you have it plugged into one of your mix's stereo channels, as this will spread the keyboard sound to the left as well as the right without you needing to pan it. This creates space for the vocals, the bass, and the kick drum to come through clearly. You can take out a bit of the low end as it will conflict with the bass guitar, but not too much so that it sounds thin. For a bit of clarity, you can boost between 6 kHz to 8 kHz, and this also adds a shine to the sound. Boosting above 12 kHz will add hiss, so don't do too much with the treble. Looking at the equalization for a kick drum, you will want to have it sitting clearly in the middle of your mix. It is sometimes challenging to get it to come through in a mix, as there are already so many frequencies bouncing around. Of course, you will want the low end presence to come through clearly, so you can boost your lows to get that effect, and then boost the mid-range between 100 and 200 Hz to get the punch of the kick to come through. The pan button allows you to position your instrument or vocal in the mix, allowing you to move your input left or right. The volume fader allows you to move your input closer or further away in the mix. Using both the volume as well as the pan functions, you will be able to pinpoint exactly where you want to place the instrument or vocal on a stage. Moving on to panning your instruments and vocals. The main vocals usually stay dead center, and the backup vocals can be panned slightly to the left or slightly to the right so that they aren't masked by the main vocal. The acoustic guitar can be panned as you see it on stage, but remember not to pan it hard left or hard right, as this will throw the balance off the mix, as only one side of the room will be able to hear it clearly. The bass guitar will sit in the middle, and I wouldn't suggest panning it, as it works hand in hand with the punch of the kick drum. The keyboard doesn't need to be panned if it's plugged into a stereo channel, but if not, then you can pan it as you see it on stage, either slightly to the left or to the right. Lastly, the kick drum will sit in the middle of the mix, so leave it dead center. If you have overheads over the kit, you can pan the one hard right and the other overhead hard left, as this creates a nice effect of spreading the drums across the mix while leaving the kick to punch through clearly.
Thanks for watching, guys. We hope our videos have brought solutions to any of your audio issues, as well as empowered you to get better sound from your overall mix.
Yeah, but please remember, these were just guidelines, and different equipment with different musicians and different venues will always require a different approach, you know, but the secret is that a good engineer will be on top of that. Now, we've kept things quite simple here. But what we want you to do is experiment, grow, learn. You'll be more confident, and that's exactly what we want.
And if you guys have any more questions, please let us know. Get hold of us on our website, as well as come to any of our Bothners stores. So for myself and Gideon, cheers for now.
Bye.